Capcom just made a startling admission about Resident Evil Requiem. They don't actually know if their own game is scary. And while that sounds like a massive red flag, it's secretly the most important piece of information we've gotten. This single comment, combined with new details from the game's director, confirms a radical new design philosophy for boss battles and horror that will fundamentally change how we experience the next chapter of Resident Evil. This isn't just an update, it's the blueprint for the entire game. Let's break down exactly what this means for the players, how it connects to the classics, and what to expect from Capcom's big panel at New York Comic Con happening later today. For months, the conversation around Resident Evil Requiem has been split right down the middle. Is it a return to the slow burn, atmospheric horror of Resident Evil 7? Or will it continue the action-packed spectacle of Village? Every trailer, every screenshot has been dissected for clues. Fans have been desperate for a sign, a confirmation of the game's true identity. The community has been holding its breath, waiting for Capcom to finally show its hand. Well, that moment is here, and the answer is far more complex and exciting than a simple choice between action and horror. So, what's the new intel? It comes down to three key developments. First, the imminent reveal. Later today, Friday, October 10th, Capcom is hosting a presence panel at New York Comic Con. We know for a fact Resident Evil Requiem will be featured. The big question is, what will they show? Will it be the same demo slice we've seen at other events, or are we finally getting a fresh, uncut look at new gameplay? Second, the director's vision. In a new interview with Automaton, Game Director Koshi Nakanishi dropped a bombshell about boss design. He stated that boss battles will be less about flashy gun-shooting action and more akin to Resident Evil 1 and 2, where players must use their wits and the environment to overcome obstacles in a closed space. It's a complete pivot back to the series' survival horror roots. And third, the most fascinating piece of the puzzle. The development team has openly stated they are unsure about the game's scare factor. They've become so desensitized during development that they can't gauge if the final product is genuinely terrifying. This has the community buzzing, and for good reason. Now, let's connect the dots, because on their own, these are just interesting news bites. But together, they reveal Capcom's master plan for Requiem. Let's start with that "we don't know if it's scary" comment. This isn't a lack of confidence. This is a direct consequence of their core design philosophy, which Nakanishi's interview makes crystal clear. The horror in Requiem is not designed to be constant, it's designed to be dynamic. Nakanishi emphasized the journey of our new protagonist, Grace Ashcraft. She starts terrified, weak, and overwhelmed. The game, in these early stages, will be pure, oppressive horror. Your goal isn't to fight, it's to survive. But as she snaps and grows stronger, gaining new weapons and skills, the gameplay will evolve with her. This is where the action elements come in. You'll experience moments of empowerment, of fighting back. This directly impacts the player experience. The game's horror will be a roller coaster of tension and release. The reason the developers can't tell if it's scary is because it isn't always scary. They're crafting an emotional arc that mirrors Grace's. You'll feel her initial terror, her growing confidence, and then, crucially, the game will likely strip that power away again, plunging you back into fear. This makes the horror moments hit infinitely harder than in a game with constant one-note dread. The moments of safety and power make the return to vulnerability absolutely gut-wrenching. This philosophy bleeds directly into the new boss battle design. Nakanishi referencing RE1 and RE2 is deliberate. Think about the Tyrant or the early encounters with Birkin. Those weren't just bullet sponge enemies in a flat arena. They were environmental puzzles. You had to use the map to your advantage, manipulate the space, and think 3 steps ahead. It was about ingenuity, not just ammo count. What this means for us as players is that boss encounters in Requiem will be tests of intelligence, not just reflexes. Instead of a flashy set piece, imagine being locked in a multi-room mansion wing with a grotesque creature. Your goal isn't to empty clips into it, but to figure out how to use a steam valve in the basement to stun it, or collapse a weakened ceiling onto it from the second floor. It's a return to form that rewards exploration and observation, making the world itself your most valuable weapon. So, what does this mean for the New York Comic Con panel happening tonight? Don't expect a Michael Bay-style cinematic trailer. That's being saved for the Game Awards in December to attract the mass market. NYCC is for the hardcore. I predict Capcom will show an extended gameplay demo specifically designed to showcase this new philosophy. They'll show a sequence where Grace isn't just shooting zombies, but actively using the environment to outsmart a more formidable foe, proving Nakanishi's concept in action. This also ties into one final theory: the pre-orders. We know they're coming in the next month or two, but they aren't live yet. Why? My analysis suggests it's because the box art is a spoiler. The official key art feels incomplete. I believe the final cover will feature Grace back to back with a legacy character, most likely Leon S. Kennedy. Holding back the pre-orders is holding back the box art, which in turn holds back a massive character reveal. Revealing Leon isn't just fan service, it's a narrative anchor, a perfect way to bridge the newcomer-friendly story with the deep-seated lore that veterans love. It's the final piece of their best of both worlds strategy. This is a bold new direction. Capcom isn't just making another Resident Evil. They're trying to synthesize the two halves of its identity, survival horror and action, into a single, evolving experience that mirrors the protagonist's journey. It's ambitious, and it could be brilliant. But now, I turn it over to you. Based on this new design philosophy, where horror is tied to the character's growth, do you think a dynamic, evolving scare level is more effective than the constant dread of a game like RE7? Or does it risk killing the tension altogether by giving the player too much power? Let me know your take in the comments below. And hey, if you appreciate this kind of deep dive analysis that goes beyond the headlines, subscribe for more. We're covering everything Resident Evil Requiem as it drops. Thanks for watching.